Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to the World of Wrestling podcast. Here today to discuss about the AEW Dynamite, June 17th, 2026 review. This show sucked. Little bit of good story here and there, but other than that, the show sucked. They have a 12-man tag team match with the same men that are going to be in the Forbidden Door main event. Now, I don't understand why we're doing that at all, and I find it to be extremely odd, personally. So, I have no idea, but I'm not a big fan of the matchup decision there. I think we should have just done a promo to close out the show with Mark Briscoe and MJF to reveal their partners. They did that throughout the entire show. MJF revealed his tag team partners from the Don Callis family. First, to kickstart the show, was announced as Kyle Fletcher, Kevin Knight, Okada, what else? And Jake Doyle and Andrade. So those were the 5 men that Don Callis announced. So not a bad group. All of them had a story with the opposing opponents to them from Mark Briscoe's side. Takeshita and Darby Allin being those two. They have issues with Kevin Knight and Okada, so that made sense. And Mark Briscoe obviously is trying to go after MJF's World Championship. Other than that, the other 3 didn't really make a whole lot of sense. On the other side, Mark Briscoe selected himself, obviously. Takeshita, he had Darby Allin, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, and Roderick Strong as his other tag team, his teammates to this 6-on-6 steel cage match clusterfuck of a matchup that probably, more than likely, obviously, we know who's winning this fucking matchup. It's going to be Mark Briscoe's team. And then Mark Briscoe's facing MJF at the Clearwater Beach Dynamite episode. That's probably going to happen since it's a special title name for that. I don't know when that is. Let me double check that real quick. One moment, guys. Dynamite in Clearwater. That'll be on July 8th. So actually that will make a lot of sense. So yeah, you book that with those 2. And then Kenny Omega is the next guy in line to challenge MJF for his World Championship at the end of July. And Kenny Omega would end up winning that matchup to ultimately face Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door, or not Forbidden Door, at the All-In pay-per-view. Do I like that idea? Do I think that is worth the sacrifice of MJF? I don't think so. And I also don't like the fact that Kenny Omega would get a short token run with the World Championship on top of it. I'm not a huge fan of that move. I think that move sucks. So no, I'm not too keen on that idea. But chances are Kenny Omega is winning the world title. They've been hinting him trying to get his World Championship hopes alive. And back-to-back weeks they had Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay having backstage conversations, or it was back-to-back months after a pay-per-view event, whatever the case may be. And that's what we've gotten from AEW, hinting the Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay foreshadowing in the future. So chances are Kenny Omega is winning that title whether we like it or not. Again, guys, like I said in my Raw review earlier today, I am not going to waste my time getting mad over this shit. It's not worth it. Nobody's going to listen to us. I think MJF losing the title to Darby Allin was absolutely silly as fuck. They could have gone ahead and built Darby Allin throughout the rest of the year, gave him a legitimate run with the world title, given him the proper story that he needed and the proper build that they could have utilized during last year's All In, but he decided to go to Mount Everest. Well, then at that case, they were going to have to start all over again, building him up. MJF would have been that guy, but they had to build it over time. When they did the Darby Allin run with the world title and winning it from MJF, it was pushed and forced. It wasn't like gradually, organically moving into that direction. It just happened overnight, basically. I didn't like that look. It was not a good look to me. That's why I frowned on it. Had the been time built and they decided to go that route, I would have been alright with it as long as it was a match, which we didn't get that either. So that made it even worse. And then this non-stop title defenses. Everybody going crazy. What does it matter? He wasn't telling a story. All he was proving is he was a moron as a champion. He was not intelligent. He lacked intelligence. That's bad. That's not what you want to do to Darby Allin. He should be wanting to hold on to that title as much as possible and saying, hey, I'm the champion, man. You got to come to me. I'm not coming to you. I can respect the whole integrity and the drive to prove I'm the absolute best and willing to do everything it takes. But you knew you were getting a world title. You were having another world title defense. Why did you go through all these matches leading up to the pay-per-view and then ultimately losing the title anyway? It looks so silly on paper. It was ridiculous. That's why I was not a fan of his run as world champion. I thought it sucked. I don't even recognize him as world champion in my book, even though in reality he is a world champion. And now we're going to go to Kenny Omega and swap it out again. MJF is constantly having to stunt his run as champion, which I don't understand why we need to do that. He's the best character on the show. So why not give him the best push possible to make when he does drop that title mean something? Him dropping it to Kenny Omega is not going to mean anything. MJF having this run as champion from December all the way up to All In when Will Ospreay ends his reign of terror, that would have been a memorable moment. It's still going to be a memorable moment on the side of Will Ospreay because he's going to win his first ever world championship in his hometown of the United Kingdom. So, or at least his home country, I should say. But he even emphasized tonight, which he had a great promo with Swerve Strickland. I thought that was fucking amazing promo. Old school AEW storytelling through a promo. These two fucking told a story that was excellent as can be. Loved it. Anyway, let's move on here with this review. So, the first thing we got was Kenny Omega versus Tony Nese. Kenny Omega won in less than 5 minutes. Then Omega grabs the microphone after the match, but can't get a word out before Zack Sabre Jr.'s team, which is called the TMDK, which nobody knows the fucking abbreviations of those letters, is flaked by Mikey Nicholas and Bad Dude Tito as they head to the ring, with Omega leaving the ring rather than getting into a confrontation with his opponent for Forbidden Door. Young Bucks and Jack Perry come out to even out the numbers, which actually put Sabre Jr. in actually a disadvantage because it was 4-on-3. Zack grabs the microphone only to toss it toward Omega, and Kenny grabs the mic and speaks, saying he doesn't know what TMDK stands for, and neither do they. He addresses the match at Forbidden Door, saying he knows it would be nice for Sabre to get a notch in the win column against one of the best, and stating Sabre's got his friends with him, and Kenny has his as well. He says, let's keep the one-on-one at the pay-per-view, or pave. And for now, he'll bid you an adieu, and TMDK don't have a catchphrase, we know, but to them, he says, good night, mwah, and goodbye, bang. And then Omega's music hits, and we look back at the Collision Summer Blockbuster where the Dogs took out the Young Bucks for the win. Surprising that the Young Bucks are putting over the Dogs on a Collision Saturday night episode. Oh, fuck. We'll hear from them later on tonight as well, from what WrestleView stated. We also have a match with the Owen Hart Tournament semifinals coming up, along with a face-to-face between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, blah, blah, blah. Next, we have Jon Moxley and Daniel Garcia versus Brody King and Bandito. This was a fun tag team matchup, back and forth action. Bandito ends up picking up the victory for his team. I believe he pinned Daniel Garcia in this situation. And so later on in the night, Jon Moxley granted him a Continental Championship where both sides would stay out. The Death Riders and Brody King would stay away from the match, and it's just one-on-one, no one else involved. Bandito said, that's fine by me, and he called his shot. So he is now facing Jon Moxley at the pay-per-view for the Continental Championship. Fantastic. So, Jon Moxley didn't really lose out on anything. He ends up getting back a world championship. He gets a championship of some kind. Instead of the world title, he gets the Continental title, which to him is basically a world championship no matter what. And, this is fucking crazy. Guy has fucking titles hand over fist. I'll tell you one thing, Jon Moxley has been given the reins to this company. He is constantly holding a championship of some kind. If it's not the world title, it's the Continental, or it's the International Championship all the time. It's unbelievable. Anyway, we go backstage. Hold on. Let's see if... No, there's really nothing there. Conglomeration actually got attacked by Kyle Fletcher and Okada. So that took place, which then later brought about the rest of the conglomeration being involved in this whole Mickey Mouse bullshit. Backstage, Tommaso Ciampa admits he doesn't need a list off 1,004 reasons why he hates Chris Jericho. He needs just one. He talks about Jericho, about the Jericho he looked up to as he got into the business, contrasting it with Jericho he shared the ring with last week with jokes and everything else. I don't know. I honestly remember Jericho as a sarcastic asshole, with a very good mic skill ability. And he would make fun of his opponents or his adversaries. So, I don't understand what he's talking about, but okay. If he's going to bring that Jericho here, stay out of his world. But if Jericho thinks he has still got it, if he thinks Ciampa is worthy, go ahead. The ball's in your court. Don't drop it. He shoves his chair away before walking off. Wow. Great stuff. So, just a simplistic storyline with no layers or depth to it. I'm telling you guys, this match, Jericho and Tommaso Ciampa, is probably going to be an opener to the pay-per-view of Forbidden Door, more than likely. Because honestly, there is no Forbidden Door here. It's just a title for a pay-per-view for the month of June. That's here. Honestly, we shouldn't even be getting a pay-per-view event at all. Forbidden Door should be closed. The doors should be fucking closed completely. Because there is no Forbidden Door. The Forbidden Door is closed, sealed tight, and cemented shut. There's nothing going on here. There's no New Japan Pro Wrestling going on here. What? Zack Sabre Jr. and the Japanese Star, or whatever the fuck her name is, going against Tekla. Wow. Oh my gosh. Like, we got two invited guests from foreign independent wrestling companies overseas coming into the United States of AEW and going to have two matches. And that's it. We need to shake the Forbidden Door up here. I'm telling you, I honestly feel that if you want a true Forbidden Door at this point, since New Japan Pro Wrestling does not have the type of stars they used to have, and nobody knows who the fuck these people are from Stardom, CMML, all this shit. They need to tap into the United States indie wrestling promotions. The Good Brothers. They're working on the independent scene. People know who the fuck they are. Bring them in. For one time only match. You guys have worked with House of Glory. Bring some House of Glory wrestlers in there. There's plenty of them that are great. I've watched them a couple of times. I find it entertaining. I got rid of the subscription because I wasn't utilizing as much. But the fucking promotion works. The idea of Forbidden Door is great if they're tapping into the independent wrestling scene. Get an Amazing Red in. The guy's still fucking wrestling. Bring him into AEW. Have him do a match with fucking Bandito or something. Shit. Kevin Knight and Amazing Red for the TNT title. That would have been a great match. I mean, come on, man. You're telling me you can't find other ways to make the Forbidden Door mean something? The indie wrestling scene would be fucking great to utilize for this type of pay-per-view. There's a guy from GCW, fucking hardcore maniac, crazy as a fucking pet coon. Let me see who the GCW Ultra Champion is. Ultra Violent Champion. Ultra Violent Champion, I should say. It's a female wrestler right now? Holy shit. She just won this on June 7th. What the fuck? So Matt Tremont was the guy that I was referring to. I thought he was the ultra violent champion. He's not. He ended up losing the title 2 months later to Otis Cogar, who he beat for the championship back on April 18th. What the hell? Damn, I need to get back to watching that shit again. That was a lot of fun to watch. Um, yeah, actually, she's not the current champion. It's Otis Koger who's holding the championship. He's a pretty fucking nut job too. I mean, he uses a fucking blade and he puts it up against his tongue, and split his tongue down the middle to make it look like a snake's tongue. Pretty fucking off the walls. But yeah, I mean, you could do like Otis Koger or Matt Tremont, having a fucking death match with freaking Jon Moxley, airing those guys on AEW television, giving them a spotlight, making people aware of who the hell they are. Maybe they go ahead and change their wrestling style just a little bit, where they show that they can actually wrestle besides being hardcore maniacs. With a Jon Moxley who loves that shit. I mean, you do that. I mean, I don't see why that would be a bad thing. And Jon Moxley has wrestled in GCW before. He was their reigning GCW World Champion back in, I think, 2022 or something. So, I mean, they have been doing some really great things in that promotion. I think their shit is fucking wild and crazy. I mean, granted, the scenes, I think they're probably not treated properly from what I've heard back in a couple of years ago. There was some negative stuff that happened there. I honestly think that would be some cool stuff to do. And I think that would be the right direction to go with the Forbidden Door, at least. Go with ACW, Awesome Championship Wrestling. There's some good talent over there. Jordan Oliver is a good wrestler. I mean, I know that you guys probably don't know these wrestlers, but that would be great stuff, and they could air highlights of what they've done in their career, giving people an idea of what they provide and what they can do in the ring. To fill in airtime on the show leading up to this event. But none of that is done here. And I'm kind of disappointed because the Forbidden Door concept was cool, but over time it's kind of gotten stale, and they still could go in that direction to be able to provide us a legitimate Forbidden Door. But they continue to keep dealing with the same exact wrestling promotion they've been dealing with for years, and yet they don't utilize their performers there. So what's the fucking point? I have the answer. There is none. Anyway, let's move along here. So the dogs are about ready to come out, and then they're attacked backstage by Christian Cage and Adam Copeland, blindsiding them, who attacked them a few weeks ago. They bring the dogs to the ring, setting Connors up for the spear before Finlay brings him out of harm's way. They escape through the crowd, and then Cage grabs a microphone talking about their win at Double or Nothing. People are probably expecting Christian to have something to say about certain family members, but he just can't believe there's a tag team named after their own mothers. Oh, God. He then says something relating to Finley's father that I'm not even sure of. I didn't really pay attention to that. Cope takes the mic and says basically understands why the dogs attacked them. They're basically trying to beat the top tier guys who are very talented, but they're going to realize that just like Edge and Christian realized back in the day when they lost to the New Age Outlaws, the APA, that they haven't figured it all out yet, that they are not the top of the food chain yet, and they're going to teach them that in this match going into the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. How this is a Forbidden Door match, I have no idea, but hey, the title's there, we got a pay-per-view, let's just set up the fucking match, who gives a shit? There's nothing forbidden about this. This is a fucking joke. So, they basically tell them, look, man, you're gonna learn that that you're still gonna be learning that we're top of the food chain, you ain't yet. It says the dogs are gonna be back out, basically he's gonna send the dogs back out the Forbidden Door as housebroken little pups. And that's how the segment closed, with Adam Copeland cutting the promo. With a challenge laid out for the upcoming pay-per-view, commentary runs down other matches set for Forbidden Door before we get to some words from Starlight Kid of Stardom. Ahead of her match against Tekla for the AEW Women's World Championship, she basically, the Starlight Kid, basically she says that she'll never forgive Tekla for spitting on the Stardom logo and giving it the bird, and she's going to go ahead and win the Women's World title, which she's beaten her multiple times in Stardom and has not beaten her once yet. And she asks that the fans in their country root her on as she wins the AEW Women's World title. Yeah, okay, sure. That ain't happening. Backstage, Tekla responds by addressing her similar journey in Stardom, ending with her being kicked out of the company. She says Tony Khan's favorite non-AEW wrestler may be Starlight Kid, but the champ doesn't care about being anyone's favorite. All she needs is the title, and she is toxic in the AEW realm. She's the fucking shiznay. She's the top of the heap. She is the bee's knees. I like it. Anyway, she promises to take off Kid's mask and spit all over it. Because on this side of the Forbidden Door, Tekla runs this place. And that's basically it. Already went over the Bandito situation with Jon Moxley that was granted. He was granted the Continental Championship opportunity at Forbidden Door. Mercedes Moné had a match with Hazuki, and Mercedes obviously wins this match. This was a decent matchup. I didn't have any issue with it. I thought it was a fair matchup. But again, story, there's nothing here, man. The stories are very seldom. That's the issue with the product for me. The wrestling is definitely there. There's no denying AEW the wrestling capabilities. It's just the story. If you got wrestling, you're just a indie wrestling promotion. You just have events like a House of Glory, GCW, Progress Wrestling. Shit, that's all you have. You have event shows. If all you got is great wrestling. I honestly feel like I'd prefer that. At least it's not week to week. I'm not sitting here having to sit through just nonstop wrestling with AEW. They provide us great pay-per-view quality wrestling. And all that. So, that's my thoughts on that. But if you're going to do week to week, give us some fucking stories that actually have layers and depth to it that makes me want to really get pumped for the pay-per-view, or otherwise, what do I fucking care about this shit? That's my issue with AEW. WWE all around is missing a lot. They're missing good wrestling. They're missing good stories. All they doing are reruns of the same shit. Remakes. That's all they're doing. Remakes of the Bloodline. Like this, WWE's just got nothing going on. Literally nothing. No story and no wrestling on top of it. That, to me, just equals shit. 100% garbage. At least AEW has some wrestling that's entertaining. But again, the stories are just lacking heavily. If you're going to do a week-to-week show, you got to have a fucking stories. Or otherwise, the show is just meaningless. So after the match, Mercedes Moné celebrates as we go to a video package hyping up the semi-final match set for Collision as Maya World takes on Athena to see who faces Moné at Forbidden Door. We head back to ringside as Tony Schiavone talks about the men's finals set for a week from Sunday before introducing Will Ospreay to the ring first. Congratulates Will Ospreay for getting married, acknowledges him coming straight here for tonight, with Ospreay admitting he should have been on his honeymoon right now, but his wife said to stay focused and we can go to Hawaii anytime you'd like. He then talks about what he did to make it up to his wife, which he basically smashed her real good, and then said, go ahead and clean yourself up. I'm going to Texas to go ahead and get back to work. Fucked nuts. Anyway, he basically is looking at this as his Super Bowl. He wants to win the goal. He wants to win the cup, the World Cup, as we got FIFA going on here. He wants to go ahead and win the championship, and to him is winning the world title in Wembley Stadium. So he pretty much explains all of that part. Swerve Strickland comes out. He acknowledges that, Will Ospreay, you've changed, bro. I haven't heard from you in a year, actually. What's been going on with you? All of a sudden, I see you walking around with the Death Riders and all that. And they're the ones that broke your neck. What's going on with you? And he explained it. He said, look, nothing's changed with me, bruv. I've gone ahead. I still dress the same. I'm still the same guy. Yeah, I'm rolling around with the Death Riders right now. Yes, I don't like the Death Riders. I haven't forgiven them for what they did to my neck. But yeah, they're teaching me some valuable stuff that I really could apply to my wrestling my in-ring mat skills. I thought that was at least explaining why he's part of this group. And I enjoyed hearing that, at least giving us some kind of logical explanation. He wants to learn how to be a better mat wrestler. Instead of throwing his body around and possibly injuring his neck and so on and so forth. So I appreciate that. That gives us some logical answer as to why he's with the Death Riders right now. Still, at the end of the day, it doesn't make a lot of sense because they broke your freaking neck, bro. Like, come on. So it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but at least there's some kind of explanation as to why he's with them. So I can give them that much credit, but still, it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Why the fuck they're even doing that? But anyway, moving on. So he even Will Ospreay then responds back and says, "Look, you've changed a lot." And he explained that you're acting like he basically was saying that he's acted like a monster and whatnot, or some kind of shit. I can't remember specifics of what was stated, but you get my drift. It got pretty intense. Will Ospreay explained, "I know that you're damn well going to strike me and kill my dreams if you see the chance of doing so. I'm going to make sure that you don't make it to All In to become world champion." Swerve went ahead and he said, Every time we've stepped in this ring, we have made magic. We have burned the house down. He said that we have faced each other, but every time we face each other, I've beaten you. Oh, God, that right there, that just gave it away. Swerve is putting over Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door. That's not, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. So, personally, I think it was a great promo. They both got really intense with each other. Swerve looked like he was about ready to haul off and start kicking Will Ospreay's ass after Will Ospreay punched him in the mouth. The Death Riders came out as the minute they started to sense that there was danger coming his way. And then Swerve grabbed the microphone and looked at him and said, "You know what, Ospreay, I was right. Nothing, you have changed." And he walked away. And that was it. I loved it. I thought that was a great promo. I am fucking stoked for this match. This match should be the main event of the show. But I don't think so. I think the cage match is going to be it. I think this is going to be the middle of the show, or possibly the co-main event before the main event itself. And that's pretty much where I go with that. Anyway. Oh yeah, Hangman Page was brought up in conversation. He said, "Oh, well, you told me it wasn't my time, it wasn't your time, it was Hangman's time." Well, apparently Hangman went ahead, won the world title. We helped them win the world title. Oh yeah, and Will Ospreay brought up, "Where was Swerve when I was getting my neck broken? Were you there to help?" No. "Were you there to help me at All In when I went ahead and I tried to help Hangman Page win the world title?" No, you came up at the end of that match where you helped Hangman win, but you weren't there to defend me when I was being attacked. Okay. So that was some conversation there. He also said, Swerve said, well, you know, Hangman Page, we did all this shit to help Hangman Page to get to the world title. He gets it, and then what happens? He loses the world title, and now he can't even challenge for the damn thing anymore, and we haven't heard from him since. Where is he at? We can't even get a text message from the guy. That's a little bit of a concern there. That might be where we get Swerve and Hangman Page, possibly. Not sure about that one. We'll have to see on that. Anyway, Mark Briscoe, before the main event, he brought up about his tag team partners that are going into this cage match, 12-man tag team matchup was the main event with all the same people that are going to be in the main event in the cage. Stupid as fuck. I don't know why you would book a 6-on-6 tag team match when clearly you're going to have that at the pay-per-view inside of a steel cage. But whatever, you know. This was a silly fucking match. Again, I say this should have been a promo to close the show, to introduce the partners, and then give us a little sample taste where they all beat the fuck out of each other and we have chaos throughout the entire arena and close the show with a cliffhanger with us kind of getting a little bit of excitement going on to the end of the promo, to the end of the show, where the show goes off the air type of thing. We didn't get any of that. MJF got the victory on Roderick Strong with the Salt of the Earth submission hold, and got the victory. So obviously, this even confirms more that Mark Briscoe's team is going to win, and they're going to walk away with the victory, ultimately where Mark Briscoe challenges for the world title at the Clearwater Beach Dynamite episode, and will probably end up losing that match, more than likely, I would hope so. Because then that just deteriorates the world title even more by having it go on one person, then Kenny Omega winning it. Yeah. But yeah, that was the show in a nutshell. I don't think this 6-on-6 tag team match was bad. I just don't like the idea of giving us all the competitors in this matchup for the main event on the main event of the Dynamite show a week before the actual pay-per-view. It's silly and dumb all at once. So that's just my thoughts on this episode of Dynamite. I thought this show was a downgrade from the last 2 weeks. I didn't particularly think great of it. I thought there were some good things about it, but mostly just blah stuff going on here. And that's pretty much it, guys. So at this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching. And have a great night, guys. Bye.